Well, the school year here in Canada is winding down, but many students and parents will tell you they still have a lot of catching up to do because of the pandemic. In the UK, plans are already in place to get students back on track. This morning, the British government announced a £1.4 billion support package. And Tessa Arcilia is in London looking at this for us this morning. What kind of support is the government promising, Tessa?
Well, Heather, first of all, they're throwing a lot of money at it, is what they believe is a lot of money. But how do you actually make up for lost education? We're only now starting to see really the scale of the impact of that lost education during the pandemic on children. So the UK government's solution right now is putting an additional £1.4 billion over 3 years. That's over 3 years, in addition to £1.7 billion they've already earmarked for this. So what will this include? It will include tutoring sessions, teacher training and development, also potentially longer school days. Now, this has been highlighted as one of the key pillars of the post-pandemic recovery plan of the government. Prime Minister Boris Johnson had already said that the next step of the plan is to make sure parents feel confident in making sure that their children are not falling far behind. I mean, Heather, in this program, we did report on just how far students are falling behind. There's one study looking at that by the Education Endowment Foundation. 76% of schools in England say that children in 2020 who started school in 2020 need so much more help in basic skills like communication. So this amount of money that the government is putting forward, they're hoping, the education minister said they hope to reach around 6 million children. I think this is the start that they're aiming for, Heather.
So, Tessa, I mean, these are similar concerns. People, parents and students have similar concerns in this country, so I would imagine there's considerable interest in hearing how other countries and other jurisdictions are dealing with these issues. But some education advocates say this is still not enough.
That is exactly the main message. And I think what's interesting for Canada to see is what, trial and error, what works here potentially can be brought over there. But the fact here is that a lot of critics, teachers, unions and think tanks saying this is simply not enough. There is an organization called the Education Policy Institute here that estimated how much children actually need. They say that figure should be closer to 13.5 billion. Heather, that's a massive difference from what the government is currently investing in right now. And another point being raised by teachers is we're not just talking about skills in math or in English and in certain subjects. It is something beyond the classrooms. There's been a lot lost beyond the academic side of things. Take a listen to what this teacher had to say.
If you don't put that time in to think, okay, I want that child to be brilliant in maths, but before I do, I've got to make sure his family are okay. I've got to make sure that he's okay emotionally. What you're going to end up with is people who at the end of it are going to say, do you know what? Did we actually give the best for these children? Well, we did the best that we could do with the means that we had, but the means we had weren't enough.
Following in on what you said about comparing countries, just in total, the Institute estimated that the money allotted now, it would be worth £310 per student, whereas in the United States, Canada's neighbour, it's $1,600 per student. Heather?
Very interesting. Thank you, Tessa. I appreciate that. Tessa Arcilia from London.